The Burning Crusade, the first expansion of World of Warcraft. The moment Blizzard took us through the Dark Portal and left Azeroth behind. It was a bold leap, one that changed the game forever. But what if that leap was actually the first major misstep in WoW's long journey? What if Blizzard, instead of expanding upward and outward, had stayed grounded and expanded within the world that already existed? In this video, I'm going to walk you through how the Burning Crusade changed everything and why I believe that decision set WoW on a path that it's still struggling to course correct from today. When TBC dropped in 2007, the excitement was palpable. Blizzard had built so much hype. The Dark Portal opening, the mysterious world of Outland, flying mounts, 2 new races. It felt massive, and to be fair, it was a big deal. The launch shattered sales records, millions of players poured through the portal into Hellfire Peninsula on day 1. I still remember logging in and seeing that sky. It was alien, it was intense, full of promise. But while we were all looking ahead, we didn't notice what we were leaving behind. Azeroth, the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor, the world we've quested through for years, was suddenly empty. Stormwind and Orgrimmar, ghost towns, old raids like Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, instantly irrelevant. It was like everyone moved to a new server, but left the old one running in the background. One of the biggest changes with TBC was the shift to vertical progression. Blizzard raised the level cap from 60 to 70, which sounds simple on paper, but it had massive consequences. For months, even years, players had worked their way up to raid-ready gear from places like Naxxramas or AQ40. These were epics. They're legendary items, things people had grinded for hundreds of hours. Then you walked into Hellfire Peninsula, and the first few quests gave you green items that were better than some of your epics. That's where the phrase came from, green is the new purple. This gear reset wasn't just mechanical, it was emotional. People felt like their achievements were wiped clean. Sure, the playing field was leveled, and newer or casual players could catch up, but for many veterans, it felt pretty bad. And this wasn't just about gear. Talent trees were reworked, new abilities added, and suddenly your class played differently. Entire metas shifted, some classes soared, others fell behind. And don't get me wrong, I do think the balancing of classes in TBC was better than vanilla. It brought a lot of classes that fell behind and didn't work very well in vanilla. It brought them up, which is great. But it was exciting, but it was also disorienting. Your character was the same, but the world and the rules and the game, it had changed around you. Before TBC, World of Warcraft felt like a world. Everyone, whether you're level 10 or 60, lived on the same continents. You saw each other. You crossed paths. There was a sense of shared space. You could be level 20 in Stormwind and see a level 60 on an epic mount, decked out in full AQ40 gear, and you're like, man, that guy looks cool. Where did he get that? I want that weapon, But with TBC, that changed. Outland was just another continent. It was another reality. The moment you hit level 58, you left Azeroth behind. And for many players, you never looked back. This split the player base physically and socially. Levelers stayed in Azeroth. Max level players were all in Outland. They weren't even going back to Stormwind, They had Shattrath to do all their city hub stuff. Raiding guilds shifted entirely to new content. PvP moved to structured battlegrounds. Old world PvP like South Shore versus Torren Mill were definitely gone. Then there were the portals. Like I said, Shattrath, the new neutral hub, gave you instant teleport access to every major capital. Convenient, yes, but it also shrank the world down. What used to be a long, dangerous journey across continents was now just a click away. And once flying mounts came into play, the world itself became optional. No more navigating terrain or running into other players. You flew over the world, not through it. Now here's where things get interesting. What if Blizzard didn't go vertical? What if they didn't raise the level cap or send us through a portal to another dimension? What if they just kept us in Azeroth and just expanded it horizontally? Think about it. New high-level zones added in Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms. Unused areas like Hyjal, Gilneas, or the Emerald Dream made accessible. New dungeons, new raids at level 60. New gear reset. No power creep, just more variety. They could have expanded the world's depth, not just its height. Other MMOs have done it. Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2. They never raised the level cap. RuneScape kept adding new quests, skills, areas without making older content obsolete. And look how well those games are thriving, especially old school RuneScape. Right now, WoW players are abandoning WoW like crazy to go play old school RuneScape. And I think the main reason is because your time is valued. You know, the things you work on in RuneScape today are going to be relevant 2 years from now. And WoW could have embraced that same model, keeping the old world relevant by continuing to add sideways, not upwards. Imagine still running Blackwing Lair because it drops a unique enchant, not because it's outdated. That kind of design keeps the world alive, not just the latest zone. TBC wasn't just an expansion, it was a template. It set the tone for every expansion that followed. Raise the level cap, introduce a new continent, add new raids and gear, abandon the old content, and rinse and repeat. This model worked, but it also created a cycle that led to some of WoW's most common criticisms. Every expansion invalidates your progress. Old zones and raids become empty. Players grind, knowing it'll all be replaced in a year. TBC also introduced things like daily quests, attunement chains, and reputation grinds, systems that gave you more to do, but also started that feeling of WoW becoming a second job. This isn't to say TBC was bad. In fact, a lot of players, myself included, loved it at the time. But looking back, it marked the moment WoW shifted from a living, breathing world to a seasonal content loop. So, was the Burning Crusade a mistake? Not in terms of quality, not in terms of fun, not even in terms of success, because it absolutely crushed it. But in terms of philosophy? I think so. Blizzard traded world cohesion for content convenience. They left behind the organic, open-world experience that made vanilla WoW feel alive, in favor of segmented zones, level resets, and instanced everything. And it started right there with Burning Crusade. What we lost was a unified world. What we gained was a cycle we're still stuck in. So the question is, was the journey to Outland worth the cost? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was TBC the best expansion ever, or the moment Blizzard turned WoW into something else entirely? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.